All right, y'all, before we start, because some of y'all be tripping, under the advice of counsel, I got to add that the views, thoughts, opinions that are expressed on this podcast are mine and mine alone. They do not represent my employer. All right, let's go.
Because I was like, damn, do we really want to get into this discussion? Because if we get into this discussion right here, y'all.
What's up, y'all? We're back with another episode of Rich Mount Forest Finest, the podcast, and we still got Drake in the building from Everything Culture. Y'all, the conversation was too good for me to end it right there. I still got questions. So we gotta continue this. Okay. Now, last episode we left off because you about to come up missing because you talking about the privatization of foster care in Harris County.
Yes.
What could that possibly look like? I'm scared for you a little bit, but go ahead.
It's gonna be okay. They come see me. God got me. So the thing is with privatization of foster care. So the investigation is still gonna be to the state.
Okay.
But with the privatization of foster care, it's gonna be led by foster agencies. Now, I do like the foster agency that's in Region 6A, and which is the Pelchin.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I remember that. I know that center. I know that name.
Well,
seen that name in some paperwork and some art. Okay,
yes,
all right.
It does have the yes, it does. So that is like the lead over becoming a foster parent. If you would like to have rule over custody of children, like remember I talked about fictive kin, I talked about relatives. If you wanted to become a licensed or overall caregiver, you have to go through the Pelchin to become that. Okay.
That is interesting.
Where I became, I don't think I mentioned earlier, I was a foster parent for a short period of time.
No, you didn't.
For relatives. Shout out to the foster parents and the relative caregivers.
Okay.
So I did that short period while I was, as a trainer in the work that I'm doing. And once again, good program, solid, but there's some other ones I'm not so fond of. Okay. But if you think of...
You want to drop their name or not?
I'll drop it later on Everything Culture. Okay. I'm going to keep you safe.
All right.
Okay. I'm definitely going to drop it on mine. Okay. But, and it's just because I've had some foster parents from those agencies that had some very racist views. And it's, once again, if it's one or two, it's one thing, but I've had like 4, 5, 6. And I have other stories with I have a problem. That's something that comes from the agency that allowing these people to become foster parents and caring for people.
Just like they're allowing them to become teachers, but
absolutely.
But that's another
100%.
And principals and superintendents. Go ahead. Sorry.
But you're right there, and that's something we touch on with Everything Culture. We got to talk about how we need to step up as well. But when it's going to be difficult at times, hopefully it all works out. If it's ideal, like they say it's going to be. Everything should be happy. The kids are going to get more care. Parents are going to be more prepared, and it's going to be better for the court system in total. But just like a lot of other things that are privatized in this world,
like
or
the
in
prison
American,
system,
correct. This could be troubling, especially for people who look like you and I, because I've seen. We talking about what the school, the prison, the pipeline. People forget about CPS. Because that's another way to integrate. Unfortunately, we talked about the levels of care, especially with kids that you talked about it on your platform numerous times, how we're targeted at times, how because we may have some emotional outbreaks or views or behaviors, instead of us giving time, imagine it's happening at CPS when you have numerous other eyes on you and lenses that may not have the best interest for you in total as well. And I know we're going to touch about education surrogates later also. But it's hard where now you have a privatized system with money. When this was brought to my attention 7 years ago, I'll never forget. This has been in the makings. I was so disturbed hearing this because this is like when I brought it up to you, like, what?
What? Yeah.
When they brought it to me, I was like, and I was looking around the classroom or the training room to my peers, and I'm like, why aren't we standing up yelling and screaming right now? Do y'all know how bad this is? I was already on the disproportionality committee of talking about how we are overly represented in CPS custody, and we're not the majority of children in the county or in care, but it's harder for us to get back home.
Right.
We got to pay attention to those things. And when we're going to you go from a foster home to a residential treatment center to possibly a psychiatric center or to a juvenile justice center, you're in that line of your record has been made.
Right.
So I'm very mindful now that the system is like money.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of money in with these kids. I've heard people toss around like titled like $1 million kids. You know, you had was it Platinum Plus?
Mm-hmm.
$1 million.
Yeah, she's worth a lot of money.
Okay.
Mm.
Not only to the system, but also people in the street. It's when people don't care about people care about the use of people. And it's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Why return a kid home if you get money out of it in time?
Right.
Because the foster agencies are the ones who are getting paid. Not always the relatives, not the fictive kin at times, but it's the foster agency would get paid. Like with a residential treatment center, like it's a lot of money. Now, the one that we mentioned earlier, shout out to Kids Harbor, Kids Harbor, because you got Boys and Girls Harbor and you got Kids Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
Kids Harbor is one of the, and I would shout them out. They're one of the best RTCs I've ever worked with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not perfect because because the whole system's not perfect,
right?
Because it's a people system and people are not perfect. I want to say that they even hired some of the counselors that were kids in care themselves before.
Mm-hmm.
And they would still give time, and I appreciate that, but it's still a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of success stories with Kids Harbor. But touch on a little bit more about the custody. Let's say if a kid is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
If a kid is doing well in the RTC, you know, they ain't smoking no more, they ain't cussing no more, they ain't drinking, guess what happens? The level of care drops. Yay.
The money dropped, though.
The money dropped.
Okay.
No. Mm-hmm. And Kids Harbor like, they can't stay here any longer.
Because it's not conducive to our...
So now they may go into a placement that may not give them the type of attention. And they have to be transferred out of schools as well. Mm-hmm, because everything, their whole life shifts.
Yeah.
And they may be, hopefully be placed in another home that can give them the attention they may need and the eyes and the resources. Or they may start to recant and regress and start doing behaviors again.
Okay, you touched on something that made my ADHD click.
Okay.
So, speaking of facilities that may or may not be Kids Harbor,
okay.
You talked about all the money that's in these places.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at certain places that are not Kids Harbor, they are very dated as far as the facilities are concerned. I am confused as to why facilities are stuck in the 80s when all this money is coming through. I remember visiting a facility that's not Kids Harbor and seeing, oh, they got a computer lab. This is dope. But they're like big old humpback IBM computers. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is 2023. But you got a computer lab. Okay. We got a library. Oh, this is cool. You got a library in the facility. Why are these this is like stuff in my grandma's house. Like, where's the money? Where's the money going?
That's a question I may not know. I can tell you that, but I would love to bring people in facilities who are Kids Harbor and who are not Kids Harbor to have these conversations. I want to hear from people directly.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when Kids Harbor, and I am talking about Kids Harbor now. I remember when they started, I remember seeing them build a whole new building. And I remember them like changing and making.
And put IBM computers in there. Go ahead.
Oh. But once again, where is this money going? I know they have farmland. I know how the placements. I don't know how much these things may cost. But I would say something, not holding against because of where these kids going to go if not going there.
Right.
But I remember to the point where they used to have co-ed facilities. They still have them? Oh, that's crazy. So, for instance, when I talk about it, when I used to drop some kids off, I don't know how y'all were at 16. Okay, I know how I was at 16, 17. If you placing me in a facility where somebody gonna be in their 20s watching me
overnight,
they the 20-year-old gotta, hey, but you gotta have somebody my age that's opposite sex across the hall from me. It's legal. Yeah, I used to borrow cars and sneak through windows at that age. It's wild, okay? It's really
I'm
wild.
laughing because I may or may not have done the
don't incriminate yourself, but it's just seeing
Mama,
that,
I'm just playing.
But no, she ain't. But seeing it as an adult,
right?
It's just like, what is happening here? But you have to think, it's 11 o'clock at night. I got to place this kid somewhere. I got to get home to my home, okay?
Yeah. I remember in a place that's not Kids Harbor, So huge hallway in this facility, right?
Yes.
And maybe on the left side is
yes.
the girls.
Mhm.
On the right side is the boys. And I
Yes.
know in another facility that's in a rural area in the Houston area, they do hire, they call them like overnight watchmen
Yeah,
or something
what they
like
gonna
that. Because the actual workers, because we residential treatment people that work there, they're there, right? They work there, but they're there too.
Yeah.
So let's say one of my friends, he has a 96-hour shift.
Mm.
So 4 days on, 4 days off. But
Yeah.
his 24 hours, he is there on the facility, on the grounds with those kids, right?
Yes.
So they have to have somebody to come in at night so they can at least like rest or
Yes.
sleep a little bit, right?
Yes.
So they have a night watchman that comes in. But let's say not at this facility, because I think this facility is awesome. I'm not saying anything about them.
Yeah.
But let's say we have a random facility in the world and the night watchman, like you said, is a 20-year-old. They on their phone. Hell, they sleep because somebody told them this was a good little lick for you to get some extra change for
Let's
college
talk
or
about
whatever. And you low key, you got your head cocked back, you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Bet I know such and such going to sleep. Here we come.
Yeah.
And this goes back to even in facilities where that are not co-ed, but you got those two hypersexual kids that are placed in these facilities that may be two hypersexual girls, two hypersexual boys. And then we can say abuse, because hell, you're in the systems, it's still considered abuse, I'm assuming.
And children come across from that. Children would come from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
STDs would come from that as well. A lot of conversations are not like, and me being a caseworker and me being a guardian ad litem, I would have to have these conversations with these kids, especially me being a Black male. Okay, they'll call me. It's one of my first requests when I moved over to Child Advocates. It was a 16-year-old boy, come from a family of 11. All of them were in care. And the caseworker, a Black woman, the volunteer, a white woman, the attorney, a white woman. Everybody else involved was a woman. The caregiver was a woman. And they were like, can you talk to him about his hygiene and him masturbating? Can I say hello to a young man first? Hi, my name is. But they are like, we really need this. This is something going on. We're all nervous. Me, no problem. Go out there. I go to the home, step in, introduce myself. It's it's middle of the day, sun out, but dark blinds and the lights are out in the house. So the way I operate when I'm walking through your house, especially, let's turn these lights on.
Right.
I don't know where everything's out. I turn the light on once, she turn the lights off behind me. And once I'm being respectful, I say, hey, can you keep these lights on? Well, I'm trying to save on electricity. You can, but you have guests. Once again, this is younger me, and I still stand by it. But I go in the room, finally get to the room, I see him, and she's like, well, he's in here. You can talk to him in here. It's him, two of the bears in the room. He's by himself, no other people in there. He's playing a game of life by himself. Introduce myself, who I am. I'm Mr. Drake. I'm your court-appointed advocate, supervisor. I'm here to represent your best interests and needs at this moment. I'll be here for this amount of time on your case. I've read through your case file a little bit. I'm here to represent for your siblings as well. And yeah, I'll be visiting you once per month. I'd love to know more about you. You can share it with me about you. I will be checking in. I will be testifying in court for things you share with me. I represent your best interests. I don't represent your wants, but I want to hear your wants as well. And the first thing you say, did they tell you that I was molested by my last foster parent? Yes, they did. What are your thoughts about that? Well, how are you feeling about that now? And he would just say, it's hard, but I'm here now. So what do you like to do? I was like, I like to go outside. I like to ride a bike, but I'm not allowed to do that. I said, what do you want to do? I want to work, but I'm not allowed to do that. I want to go out with friends, but I'm not allowed to do that. I got to stay here and do this, and that. And so I said, what do you do all day? He was like, just this, lay around, go.
Wow.
And I'm just looking at this. I haven't talked anything about the masturbation. Like, he's 16. He's going through. What do you think he's going to do with nothing else to do in the household? He don't have any other actions, not any other sports. When I talked to him about hygiene, cleaning up by himself, and nobody ever taught him any.
You're not talking to the baby.
And it's just like he's put on the island. He set out to fail. And he shared something like later on that, it breaks my heart because he was in numerous foster homes because we got him removed from that foster home. We had him placed with siblings for a little bit, then with another one. Then we had him placed finally in Pearland to a great foster parent that's in Pearland. But one of the saddest things that he ended up passing away, at the age of 19. after he aged out of care. But before that, he asked us before stepped off the case when he was 18 was, here's a way I can like get a case against the state.
Oh wow.
Because I feel like they ruined my life. I was never abused and neglected with my mother.
Oh.
It was the mother. She had substance abuse issues.
Mm-hmm.
All her children kept testing positive for crack cocaine in the system, and one come in, they just remove another and another one and another one. And he said, I wasn't sexually abused in my mother's care. I was in the same home. I was in school. I mean, heartbreaking. And it just made me, I always had that different look, but hearing it from the mouth of the child, it makes a huge difference. Yeah. The intentions are well, but this was the same kid that the foster parent took his gifts away. There was a different, that was the foster home we was at where they want him to talk about masturbation. He went to say with his siblings, that's foster parents there, end up taking the gifts away from them and giving to their kids, went to a different foster home, had issues there. Not until we were able to place in the foster home Pearland that he was doing well. And seeing that child monthly and deal with these issues and behaviors is heartbreaking. So, and I don't know where he would be without his volunteer, first and foremost. And also just with me stepping in, just giving some advice being from a male. And it's that representation that's necessary. There's some male foster parents out here. It's not enough.
It's not. Yeah.
There's some male volunteers out here. It's not enough. Attorneys, not enough. And we like to say, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does.
It makes, when I talk often about teachers pressing kids' buttons before they walk through the door, teachers not knowing what kids are going through, teachers believing that all kids should be rigid compliers and do exactly what I tell you to do and speak exactly how I want you to speak and whatever, not knowing what's going on, what these kids are going home to every day. Knowing that you, even if they don't like you, are probably the safest they'll be today.
Seriously.
And us needing to be more empathetic. Just man. There are some of us that are great at what we do. There are some of us, and I talk about this often, who I wish they would get y'all up out these school systems because you're doing more harm than good.
Same thing as the whole foster care child welfare system, from the judges, the attorneys, to the caseworkers, to the foster parents, to the family group conference facilitators. If you burn out, leave.
Please.
Once again, the job is hard.
Yeah.
Job is very hard. It's very stressful. We talked about in the last episode how you don't get paid worth of nothing. You get paid. You got paid more. You get paid more, but still the worth is not there.
But the money is. It was just crazy. We just talked about how much money is. Just like with education, the money there. It's what y'all trying to spend it on. But, you ain't trying to spend it on us.
Agreed. But with us, it's the ones that leave. When I was talking to the judges, if I was getting treated fairly and paid well, I would still be there. I love the work. I volunteer and do it now and get paid somewhere else. But I know the impact I've made within the work that I've done. But when I say it was to the point when I was at CPS, I couldn't move my neck sometimes. It was some point I got so stressed out, I was stiff up.
Wow.
And I didn't know what it was. I would freak out because I couldn't move. I'm like, what is it? I never had that experience. It was because of work. I started going through therapy because of work. Not because of any abuse and neglect I received in my childhood, or it was because of my job.
That's crazy. And
I joke, I used to go and speak to wraparound specialists and things, and I go out to the schools, and because I used to help raise and have school supplies for the teachers and all that. And I'm like, we got to work together. We are all community. And I used to talk to them about what we did as guardian ad litems and when we need information while we step in the courts and yada, yada, yada. But I'll talk about how hard it was. And I never forget some teachers in there like, our job is hard. I don't know what you're talking about, this, and that. I'm like, I'm not arguing with you, but it was always about 2-3 other teachers in there like, hey. I was a caseworker before I became a teacher.
Yeah.
It's a reason I became a teacher. You don't want to deal with that type of stuff from investigations. You don't have to worry about going to somebody's home, potentially getting kidnapped, or like tied up. You don't have to, you go see some things like when some parents are hoarders. You come into some places and you go see that, not on TV, you go be in
it's real life.
Okay.
Yeah.
When people have dirty diapers piled up and things of that nature. I'm talking about, and you still have to be professional.
Right.
You still have to, because when you step into someone's home, especially a child's home, you can't treat them like any type of way. Even when they're the parents, you may not like what they're doing, but that's still that child's parent at the end of the day. You're going to hear some things that you go to court and some judges I know we all saw when that guy jumped over the judges. Oh, I can't even think the name of it. But I'm like, I've seen judges say way worse. And I know that person, he was like, they're going to throw the book at him. Oh, you have no idea what's about to happen. I've seen judges make attorneys cry.
Wow.
I've seen attorneys make other attorneys cry. I've seen it's hard out there.
It's crazy.
You got to have tough skin, but the whole time I'm fighting for my kid.
For the kid. So let's touch on education, because I talked about this in the last segment. A lot of times we don't know the full story of the kid. We don't know what's in that file. We don't know what's in that folder. We don't know what number household this is for that kid within that school year.
Yeah.
We just don't know. We just know we get this kid. He's new. They're new, and deal with it. Y'all may tell us that they're in custody. They're a ward of the state.
Right.
May tell us that. You may say if they come with an IEP or a BIP, we may have a little bit of information about that, depending on how well their last case manager wrote up their IEP or their BIP. I love the very first page I go to when I'm getting a kid in that has an IEP or a BIP. I go to the deliberations. I go to that last page. I want to read as much information about that as possible. But sometimes people, they don't really doing their paperwork like they're supposed to. So it's vague. You don't know what you're getting. So let's talk about the confidentiality. And let's talk about educational surrogates.
So with the confidentiality is that. Now, I'm going to say this in the most professional way.
Okay.
You know, what do people used to say? If you're sweet, the sweetness get honey or bees or flies or something like that. Yeah. Be nice and cordial and build that consistent relationship. They're most going to open up because they see you get interest. But you'll be in a teacher, if you ask even the foster parent at the time, hey, when you have court is during school hours. But if you find somewhere you can go to court and sit down in the back and hear what's going on as well. But a lot of the information is confidential for the best interest of the child overall and the parents but I do appreciate when teachers used to give me information, especially ones the schools. I used to go back to the schools they went to when they lived with their parents at times. Because usually they're not going to be in the same school.
No.
I've had times because the other thing, they need to know it's what you need to know basis. That's a need to know basis.
Yep.
For instance, they need to be around a parent. Like their mother is not allowed to come pick them up. Why? It's a legal case happening right now in the custody of the state. That's all you need to know.
That's all.
But what happened? Sorry. See, because the thing is, people talk. Okay. I was in high school before. Were y'all in high school before?
Yeah.
I don't know what type of high school y'all went to. Them teachers, those facilitators, those secretaries. I never forget when a secretary came to me and said, I heard you messing with so-and-so. You need to leave that girl alone. First of all, ma'am, mind your business. Second of all, thank you for that advice in my life, because God, my life was completely different. But that's my point. Like, how did they even get to you?
Oh, baby, we know everything.
You feel me?
We the messiest. Well, we the messiest profession. Lord,
that's why
I hate
to
say
need
that.
to know basis right there. Because them kids listen. They listen and y'all talk.
Yes, they are.
But that's the reason for confidentiality so much. And it could affect the case in the long run.
Yeah.
Because if it gets to the wrong person, the parent, family member, or the child, and they start recanting and putting things together, they can throw the whole thing off representing the needs of that child. So that's one of the biggest part of it.
All right, now let's talk about
education
surrogacy.
So you didn't talk about the behavior intervention plans. You talked about the education individual plans. Am I right about that?
Individual education plans.
Individual IEP, yes. And the arts, okay. Mission review and dismissal. Okay.
Look at you.
I'm trying to come together.
Okay.
I know you got
a little something.
And it came from the work. I have to step in.
Right.
These things. So when we're stepping to the point, like me being a guardian ad litem or me being a caseworker, I don't have the time to be around all the time. Okay. Especially as a caseworker. Being a guardian ad litem, I'm going to drop in here and there, but I'm supposed to have a volunteer to really speak out. Many of these judges, usually I say the great ones, they care about the education of the children just as much. So when you go to court, it's a whole section in the court report about their education, their grades, their progress. If they have an R, they have a BIP, what is the process for that too? So not only you need to be involved there to report back to the court, but it's gonna be responsible for it. You can get held in contempt at time of court. Like these judges don't, the ones that care don't play. Yeah, you can talk about the parents all the time. How's the child doing in care now? Okay, so if that child has a BIP, okay, while they're in the same school, that's great. But I just mentioned earlier, I've had kids in high school being 6 different placements
in 1 year.
1 year. Can you imagine y'all put yourself in this situation? So who is that person really representing that child? That caseworker going to stick? Oh, and turnover rate for CPS is crazy.
Right.
So the caseworker may not be there. I've had 13 caseworkers in one case before.
And we're not talking about kids that are going house to house in the same city. We're talking about sometimes they could be in Houston. Next month they could be in Austin.
Missouri City, Fort Worth, you name it. Oh, I've had to fly kids Louisiana before. Okay. So all these things must follow, and consistency is one of the biggest things children need for survival and for success. Just like if it's once again, I'm saying these things like it's common sense, but once again, we know that no such thing as common sense in my opinion. But when we have these kids that go in placement to placement, you need some type of consistency for them. And that paperwork, that education surrogate, when it's appointed, and it's everybody can't become an education surrogate. It's certain parties, such as a guardian ad litem, can do so. It's so valuable. But it's a lot more work than just being a guardian ad litem as well. That's a whole nother responsibility you take on. And when you're able to do that, you're able to really, hey, new teacher, hi, I'm Mr. Drake. How are you doing? Well, what's going on here? I know you got a lot going on. I know you may not care, but you go care about this child right here.
If you know
you're about this one right here. Okay, I'm gonna fight because they don't have fighters. And you said it before. Some of the best kids to do well is the parents who are involved in the child's life that cares and want to see success for the teacher and the child. When the kids in foster care, how often do you see the foster parents?
Never.
Like
unless they are harassing me for paperwork so that they can increase their payment.
Yeah,
I said that.
You
Sorry.
said that.
That's when I'll see them, and that's when I'll hear from them. But it's very rare that I'm going to see you just to say, hey, I came to support them. They don't even come to the basketball games or the football games of the children.
And I actually get on. I said, before you place this child on medication, what type of extracurricular activities are part of? That's in my court report. If they say nothing, then why are they still on this medication?
If it's because it's going to take their time, they don't have the time. I just need that money.
And when I say verbatim, I've taken kids to game. Now, when I was a caseworker, you had a lot of transport, but when you're a guardian ad litem, you think maybe in Fort Bend you can transport. I don't want to transport these kids. But the thing is, I've chaperoned. I'll show up and I watch these kids at a game. They need because
nobody is there. That's crazy.
But they need to have this type of connection, this real world connections that other people may take for granted, these privileges they have, we have. They need to have these type of interactions because they become adults and they're not going to have the type of connection we may, the understanding we may have, and they're going to be in relationships. They're going to be dating y'all kids. All right.
We talked about, oh, Lord, okay.
So the education surrogate is their main goal is to follow the education progress of that child. Nothing more, none less. But they also can make decisions on when they need art.
Okay.
They can make decisions. Or this is, hey, we need to check up on the behavior intervention plan. Something's going wrong. They can make decisions for this child as well.
Okay.
They're like, just like you have a surrogate parent, they're the surrogate parent for the child for them in school.
For school, okay.
So it's having another advocate for them, which they need as many advocates as they need. They have enough people trying to police them and not enough people trying to support them. So the education surrogate, if you're able to take the teachers can be one. Okay.
Oh, okay. Why not?
Because it's a conflict of interest.
Oh, if you're currently their teacher, you can't be there.
You're currently a teacher.
Oh.
You can't be one.
Oh, wow.
Because you get paid by the school. So that's your number one, like as a teacher, is just like with HR.
Right.
But your main focus should be the child. That should be the number one focus. Then you can have others. But as a teacher, even as a caseworker, a CPS caseworker cannot be an education surrogate because your main thing is you represent CPS, you represent the state school. All those go hand in hand. So you usually have to be a volunteer or someone in a different entity of work to do so.
What does a person need to become an education surrogate? What qualifications do you need?
Looking that up in Texas to get updated on it. So you do have to go through a training course.
Okay.
You have to have a clear background. Not fully clear. You can't have any felonies.
Okay, no felonies. I got a little weed case.
Hey, you'll be all right. All right.
Not me, because I know my school district be watching. Not me, guys. I'm just asking for everybody else.
Clarification.
Right.
And you got to have some skill. So that's the trainings will come with skill and knowledge and the time. The consistent, make a commitment, y'all. Is gotta make the commitment. Gotta make the commitment.
Oh, some of us have commitment issues.
Don't they though? Don't they though? I've had people that sign up to represent a child, meet the family one time. I'm good.
I'm good.
What? No, you can't. When you step into this work, you have to step in understanding like, hey, that's why I say respect, communication, and consistency. I'm here.
I was about to ask you, have you met some of these parents? But you have.
Oh, have I?
I was about to ask you, have you met parents?
They still got my number. I haven't changed my number in about 15 years.
Some of these parents will make you say, I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good.
So I've had to step out of some meetings before.
Okay.
I've had some parents that, and I can, you see me now, I'm lax right here. Well, I'm professional, suit and tie, come together, speak proper and how they want us to be. But I've had some parents, and it, once again, ones that had complete lack of empathy for their own child. The ones are to the point of selfishness, substance abuse or not. I'm still human too.
Yeah.
I've had to to the point that I started stuttering.
Because you're so angry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And shout out to, I used to have, speech impediment as a child, but those teachers and those educators that really put the time in for that change. But when I say it came back to me, I had to step out the room because
well, then you know the place of most teachers. Because sometimes you be
yes, because you see how some that don't care, when you do this work, and it's 13 different courts in Harris County that hear CPS cases. Harris County had the most amount of courts that hear CPS cases in the nation. So we have a lot of kids in care, y'all. And when you have some of these folks that come in there and it's a packed house full of people. You have some parents that's been frequent visitors and they keep having children. Like I said, you just go take them away. Some of them look at them just as checks.
Yeah.
Verbatim, they would say these things. Well, somebody else could come in looking just check, but finding these people who care about them is so important. But I've had times where I had a mother that we work in the courts. You have a juvenile courts. You have 3 juvenile courts here in Harris County. You got 314, 315, and 313. And the kid assaulted his mother. He assaulted his mother. And nobody asked the child initially why he assaulted his mother. It's just she called the police. They came in, blah, blah, blah. This is a Caucasian family. And the child's attorney, when he went to his juvenile case, outside in front of the juvenile case, like, why did you jump on your mom, and why did you do that? He like, well, we was at a hotel room because the mother didn't have a place. She just lived pillar to post, meaning hotel place to place.
Right.
People don't know. And she was like, when her boyfriends came over, and I was sitting down playing on my DS, on the Nintendo, and look over, and she was giving him a fellatio.
With the baby in the room.
On the bed. Not just on the room, but on the bed. So this 13-year-old young man jumped on the mother and him. Okay? Which a lot of people, I don't know how some people react. Some people may be like, what is going on? And not only that, we find out later, and from his attorney, like, this is a child abuse case. Made a report to intake. Intake come out. The full reports start coming back of this child's been in care 4 different times. It's been like 13 calls to CPS. He's been sexually molested by her other boyfriends like 3 times out of his life. Okay. Consistent abuse all throughout his life. And me coming in as a guardian ad litem now, how he keep going back to her.
Right.
But
so that's when we talked about earlier. Yes. Like when we say, well, how the hell y'all keep letting this happen?
She know how to work them services.
Clearly.
Okay. I can say because she's a white woman, but she come in, she know the steps 1, 2, and 3. She know how to cry to court, and she tried me. I'm black and white when it come down to it. I mean, the paperwork and the actions and behaviors. She brought the person who was driving her to court was one of the people who molested him before in life.
Stop it. We got
and coming to court. And coming to court. And when we bring it with, I'll tell you, this is all building up to the point we had a family group conference, and she would abuse substances, and she would use something called the Holy Trinity, okay, where she would mix prescription pills. And there's 3 different. I don't want to say the type because I don't want anybody hearing this and trying to use it themselves, but it would give the same effect to heroin. All right. And Houston has a lot of pill mills. Once again,
yes,
like a lot of people I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah,
these are the facts. And every time she met me, she would give me her prescriptions, and then she would say, "Who are you again, ma'am? This is my 5th time in. You done gave me your social security number, all these things."
High as a kite.
Every time. And we was in this meeting, and we were stating what he's been through. This is what everybody come together and what he's been through. And she was like, "Well, we wouldn't be here in the first place if he didn't call CPS. He wouldn't have snitched on me. Like, I can do this, and that." And her and we talk about everything. It was his fault. She didn't want to take responsibility for anything. And that's when I was trying to explain, and I like
study because now I'm pissed.
Yeah, let me step out. And my volunteer and other people see me step out. They're like, he just needs some space. And they're like, they'll never see me get that upset. And even this was some time ago. This is what, 7 years ago?
That's
maybe
crazy.
This may have been 10 years ago, actually. And it still upset me. And I'm still empathetic for her, even though that's the type of human being I am. But that child, he's in prison now. It's like we wish we would have got him earlier.
And then you go back to think, and it's a cycle because you clearly, mom had some shit going on with you because this is,
and she has other children too, and now when the other children come, and she did not just and other children with other people, but she just didn't understand like why my kids been taken away from me, and so a lot of them are like, I'm just gonna have another one.
Oh God. We gonna end. I can't take no more.
I know.
This is why me and my ex-husband, I'm so glad that when he did make the transition, he left CPS to go to teaching, which is hell, into one mess to another.
And I gotta say this, but we need teachers. We need
y'all.
Yeah, we need, and unfortunately, that's what's one of the things is, what do we do as individuals? Period. As human beings. Like, if you want to break it all in the Black community, when you see abuse and neglect happening, not only in the community, in your family, what do? You
don't know that it's abuse and neglect because it happened to you. So you think, and you came out okay. So you feel like, and that's our problem. That's a whole nother show. We'll get back to that. That's a whole nother show that we'll have. We're gonna stop right here because I can't take no more CPS stories. I'm just sorry. I can't take it. Because I see you upset about it. I'm like, I can't.
I know it.
I can't do it. It's enough as a teacher. So I am glad that I'm not. You'll never hear me saying y'all do more than, or we do more than y'all, because I honestly can say we do a lot, but I never want to read. I'm talking about being nosy and knowing what's going on with the kid. Now I changed my mind. I don't want to know.
Court, you can be like, what?
I'm good.
I tell people, just go to court. You won't watch any daytime television.
I think now, I hope teachers are listening, and when we're always complaining that the counselors don't tell us anything or the child advocates don't tell us anything, now it's official that I'm glad that they don't tell us. I couldn't handle that because I be wanting to take them all home.
But we got to do it together.
We do. High
teamwork.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it. Again, long time coming. I'm glad we finally made it to this spot. I appreciate you.
Let's not make it the last time.
I appreciate what you do. Never that. So thank you again for coming, and thank y'all for checking us out. We'll be back next time. Hey. This podcast was made possible by producer extraordinaire D. Francis at the legendary Lab 7 Studios in Mo City, Texas.